didn't see you there. Welcome to the library. Have you been here before? Okay, so in that case, I'm going to have to sign you up for one of our library cards if you do intend on taking anything home today. Perfect. Okay, if you don't mind, if you have a few moments, I'd like to get that started. I cannot get you your library card immediately. However, I can put you in our system so you can take some books home today. We can do it all over the computer, but most people just find it more satisfying to have one of those little library cards. Yes, okay, so let me just get over to the sign up area. Okay, so what's your name? Lovely name. If you just look over to the screen, did I spell that correctly? Perfect. And I do need your last name as well. Wonderful, wonderful. Please let me know if I'm making any mistakes. If you could just spell that out for me. Great. And with the best intentions, what is your birthday? Oh, I know some people like to keep that private. However, we do have a birthday program here where you can get some free books on your birthday. Wonderful. Okay. Wow. You're older than you look. Okay. So, I'm going to need your address, please. This is to make sure that you're in our municipality. Otherwise, you'll have to go to a different library. Okay. And is that an apartment building or a house? Okay. Unit number? Okay. And, sorry, do you mind spelling out the name of that? I don't really think I've heard of that street. Is it a little off the way? Yeah, off the main roads. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Street. Okay, postal code. Okay, and obviously I know the city. Okay, province. And finally, that should be good. I'm just going to write down a couple more things just to finalize the process, but that's all the information that I need from you, so feel free to just putz around while I finish putting in this information. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you your library card number. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for that to go through. It's still a relatively old system. Our computers aren't super modern here. That group looks like they're up to no good. Hopefully they keep it down, or else I'm gonna have to go over there and give them a talking to. Okay. Looks like it's going through. Okay. Just gonna flip through the... Great, okay, so we have you there. Let me just put this aside. So, is there anything else I can help you with today? It is your first time at the library, after all. Sure, yeah. I can talk about some of our books here. Was there anything that you were looking for in particular? Well, we have a decent selection of comedies here, both fiction and non-fiction. One of which, actually I do have one here, is by David Sedaris. This is kind of like a biography a little bit. So let me put these back on. So this is Dress Your Family in Corduroy and Denim. David Sedaris is a very, very funny author who writes about his life. Definitely some of the stories are a little bit exaggerated. However, these books are very worth it. As you can see, it's author of Me Talk Pretty One Day. He has written lots of books. So, this is a collection of short stories. It says for Hugh. I believe Hugh is his husband. So I'll read you what some of the chapters are called here. So there is Us and Them, Let It Snow, The Ship Shape, Full House, Consider the Stars, Money, which is spelled a little differently than normal, Changes Everything, The Change in Me, Hajira, Slummus Lordicus, The Girl Next Door, Bloodwork, The End of the Affair, Repeat After Me, 6 to 8 Black Men, Rooster at the Hitchin Post, Possession, Put a Lid on It, A Can of Worms, Chicken in the Hen House, Who's the Chef, Baby Einstein, and Nuit of the Living Dead. Nuit meaning night. So I definitely recommend any of his books, really. Obviously, you can find him in the nonfiction section under David Sedaris. Just make sure you're looking for that S for Sedaris. And a lot of the time, his stories are written about sort of the crazy people that he's encountered. Yes, lots of very interesting folks that can be kind of toxic, but it's about him finding sort of the humor in it and him dealing with it. I have been reading his books for a very long time myself, and I always found him to be quite funny. He also will read out his books. He does do book readings, but also you can find audiobooks where he himself has read the novels, and it's really great hearing these stories from his own voice. And I would definitely recommend. So that is a comedy that we have. Just a good example of our comedy section. We do have some more fictional comedy as well, if you're looking for an actual comedy novel, as well as some magazines and such that can be rather funny. Are you into fantasy? You kind of seem like you might be interested in that. Okay, well, I have a few different things for you. This particular book has suffered some water damage. However, you may have heard this story before, Battle Royale. This one is remastered. This is by Kushan Takami. A new translation by Nathan Collins. And this is about a group of, I believe, high school students. I have read this one myself. It has been a while, though. Oh, yes. Let me read the back. So, Kushan Takami's notorious high-octane thriller is based on an irresistible premise. A class of junior high school students is taken to a deserted island, where as a part of a ruthless authoritarian program, they are provided arms and forced to kill one another until only one survivor is left standing. Criticized as violent exploitation when first published in Japan, where it then proceeded to become a runaway bestseller. Battle Royale is a Lord of the Flies for the 21st century, a potent allegory of what it means to be young and barely alive in a dog-eat-dog world, made into a controversial hit movie, which I do also recommend. Of the same name, Battle Royale is already a contemporary Japanese pulp classic, now available in new English language translation. Very interesting book. And again, suffered a bit of water damage. Some of the people who take out our books don't take very good care of them. I hope that you will do a better job. Wonderful. Yes, if they come back damaged like this, you do generally need to pay a fee. If it's bad enough, you may lose your library card. But we don't want to waste books here, so we did not get rid of it. It's still perfectly okay to read. It's just a bit crinkly. Yes, this is pretty much the opposite. There's no comedy here. It's just ruthless classmate versus classmate. There's very creative scenes. But yes, if you are a movie lover, I would recommend that you check out the movie version. We do have a movie section where you can take out some DVDs. Not that many people have DVD players these days, but we still have it available for you if you would like to check it out. But I don't think we have Battle Royale. It's maybe a little bit too inappropriate for this library, although of course in book form it is a-okay. Fantasy. Okay, so another one I would recommend. And you have definitely heard of this one. The Witcher. Yes. The Last Wish, which is the first book. And we have all of them here. There's a whole big selection of them. The timeline kind of jumps around quite a bit in the books. You'll notice sometimes it can be a little interesting, being like, where am I in the story and all that. But the way that this fellow writes can be a little strange to some. I personally find his sort of bleak writing tone to be quite interesting. He also likes to describe very peculiar things in great details, things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, other authors would think about describing, or you yourself in a situation. He describes sometimes the more basic and dull things in a scene, which I personally find really interesting. It's just very different than normal books. Obviously this one is a little bit inappropriate. I find that the books so far, I haven't read them all, actually, I've been working on it, but the books are actually a little more inappropriate, or a little more appropriate, rather, than the TV show and the video games. So if you are a little sensitive to violence or sex and stuff like that, this is really not so bad thus far in the books that I've read. It's okay. But this is a fantasy novel. Let's see if they have a little description. Well, there's a little passage here that I could read you. Geralt, studying the Gareth's pewter stopper with his thumb, poured himself some wine, took a sip, and leaned back into his chair. He was watching the monster with a smile, an exceptionally ugly one. Yes, said Nivellen, slowly digging at the corner of his jaws with his claw. One has to admit you can answer questions without using many words. It'll be interesting to see how you manage the next one. Who paid you to deal with me? No one. I'm here by accident. You're not lying by any chance. I'm not in the habit of lying. And what are you in the habit of doing? I've heard about witchers. They abduct tiny children whom they feed with magic herbs. The ones who survive become witchers themselves, sorcerers with inhuman powers. They're taught to kill and all human feelings and reactions are drained out of them. They're turned into monsters in order to kill other monsters. I've heard it is said it's high time someone started hunting witchers, as there are fewer and fewer monsters and more witchers. Do have some partridge before it's completely cold. Nibelin took the partridge from the dish, put it between his jaws, and crunched it like a piece of toast, bones cracking as they were crushed between his teeth. "Why don't you say anything?" he asked, instantly swallowing. "How much of the rumors about you witchers is true?" "Practically nothing. And what's a lie?" "That there are fewer and fewer monsters." So, if you enjoy monster hunting, if you enjoy strong characters who don't say much, if you enjoy sorcerers and talking animals and badass little ladies, I definitely recommend that you read this series. Yes. Additionally, we do have the, just give me for one moment, we do have the graphic novel, the art book for it, The Witcher. And there he is with his glowing eyes and his silver sword. There's a big monster behind him, and a little guy right here. And the artwork is absolutely stunning. This one I have not read yet. I have a strong feeling that it is a bit more graphic than the book. Oh yes, there are some nudie scenes for sure. Oh my. So this has been quite popular with those who have come in interested in The Witcher. So I would definitely say that if you do enjoy reading graphic novels and mangas, that I would check out this book right here. Moving on to some heavier books, more into the drama side of things. We have one by an absolutely fabulous author called Albert Camus, and it's called The Plague. This is a classic. It's been around for a long time. The pages are very soft. So it says, Oran, a large French port on the Algerian coast, becomes afflicted by the plague. This is the story of a community like any other, suddenly impotent in the face of a destructive force to which it must not submit. The plague can also be read as France suffering under German occupation during the Second World War, or indeed the human race rebelling against an absurd universe. Camus is the ultimate lyricist of the absurd, a condition, he believed, born of the confrontation between the human call and the unreasonable silence of the world. He wrote to fill that silence. Few French writers of this century have been more versatile or more influential than Camus. No one in his lifetime wrote better prose than he. No one better blended conviction and grace of style. So, if you are looking for a heavy topic, this is definitely a must read. Additionally, right in front of me, I have The Kite Runner, which is a very heartbreaking tale. Very sad. Very well written. Amir is the son of a wealthy Kabul merchant, a member of the ruling castle of Pashtun. Hassan, his servant and constant companion, is a Hazara, a despised and impoverished caste. Their uncommon bond is torn by Amir's choice to abandon his friend amidst the increasing ethnic, religious, and political tensions of the dying years of the Afghan monarchy, and apparently dissolved when Amir and his father flee to California to escape the Soviet invasion, leaving Hassan and his own gentle father to a terrible fate. But years later, an old family friend calls Amir from Pakistan and reminds him there is a way to be good again, and Amir journeys back to a distant world to try and right past wrongs against the one true friend he ever had. A beautiful novel, truly. Did they make a movie about this one too? I feel like they did. It's a national bestseller. So again, a very long time since I've read this, but I remember crying quite a bit during this book. This one is printed and bound in Canada. Interesting. Did not notice that before. An epic exploration of the ties that bind sons to fathers and boyhood friends to one another, and of the forces that tear them apart. So, let's see, is there anything more? Yes. Okay. So this is fictional. This is a romance, if you're interested in that. Although it's also very much, it's a historical novel. Diana Gabaldon tried to be quite historically accurate. That's not to say that everything is 100% historically accurate. However, if you like historical books about Scotland, I would definitely recommend this to you. It also has some science fiction-y kind of stuff. It's got a bit of fantasy. It is about a woman named Claire who lives in the UK after the Second World War. She was a nurse during that time. I believe the book starts off just after the war ended. I believe it's in 1945. And she is honeymooning in the UK, and she's basically on somewhat of a second honeymoon. And during her time there, she ends up, through circumstances she does not understand, going back in time to Scotland in 1743. So she goes back over 200 years. And while she's there, obviously she's dressed a little bit differently than women would during that time. She may run into some people who don't really know who she is or where she's come from, and she probably doesn't have very good answers. While she's there, she meets Jamie, who's very tall, handsome, young, smart Scotsman, and well, it's about their journey. There are many books in this series. I believe there are about 9. Diana Gabaldon is still writing them, and yes, they were adapted into a TV show that is quite popular these days, which was overlooked by Diana Gabaldon. So Diana Gabaldon was also very much a part of the TV series, so it's quite good and accurate and all that. So I would definitely recommend this if you enjoy historical pieces, but you also enjoy a bit of steamy romance and a very, there's a lot of long periods in the books where it's, not a lot is happening, but there is also so much action in between those moments too. Really great book. I definitely recommend it. So I will leave it off there for you. Are there any books here that you were interested in? Okay, so actually I was wondering, since this is your first time here, would you like to take a little look around the library? Yeah, for sure. We can, if you were interested in any of these books, we can take them out now, and then you can just go and walk around the library. You can even sit down here and read for a bit if you would like. Okay, perfect. So which one or ones were you interested in? The Witcher graphic novel. Okay. Battle Royale and the Kite Runner? Absolutely. Okay, let me just grab that, and I will take those out for you today. So I'm just gonna grab my keyboard here. So we have the Witcher graphic novel. We have the Witcher graphic novel here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in the code here. Okay, 156713946. Okay, and then we gotta put in the because I'm just going to put in your code here. So I'm gonna put in your name. Okay, and the code. Okay, so there we go. We have one done. I'm just going to pass that over to you. Okay, so now we have the Battle Royale book. Okay, I'm just going to put in the code here. Just going to 8, 2, 5, 6, 5, 9. Okay, so I'm just gonna write your name and your code. I didn't mess it up this time. Okay, there's the Battle Royale for you. Enjoy. And the Kite Runner. Perfect. Here. Just going to put in the code for this one. So 0385736. Okay, and then 1978038. Shoot. 600. Okay, and finally your name. Oh goodness. Okay, and the last name. And the code. Awesome. Okay, so there's your books. So we have taken those out. Make sure that you take good care of those. Very important that you do so. You need to bring them back in 2 weeks, okay? I don't know if you're a fast reader or not, but if you feel like you need more time, just come in and renew the time. You can also phone us. Yeah, we're not always around the phone, but if you leave us a message, it should be fine. But if you're in the neighborhood, you can always just come in too. Yes, we renew it by a weekly basis. Okay, so you have 2 weeks, and then you can have 3, and you can have 4. After about a month, we generally ask that you bring them back, just because there's usually a waiting list for it. However, if there is no waiting list, you can just keep taking it out. Yeah. Well, perfect. I really hope you enjoy those. We also do have on our online website, you can review the books for other people. You can also look at other books on there, and you can see how other people reviewed them. Maybe pick out some books that are well reviewed. We have a little section that is the best reviewed of the month. It's a great way to see just new books that you wouldn't necessarily go to yourself. And we have this tab pick section as well. Yeah, I'm on there. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for spending some time here, getting that all done, and I hope you enjoy walking around our beautiful little library here.